are live again discussing the Iran, Israel, and American war. The sirens, and you see here, these are the sirens, these red marks here in the map, these are the sirens in Israel. Because when Iran launches missiles, barrage of missiles towards Israel, the sirens start to in Israel, the sudden start in order to warn the people of incoming missiles in order so that people can take shelter. You can see there are a lot of red dots here, meaning thereby lot of missiles and drones and with their warheads are coming towards Israel. This is Ayatollah Khamenei's message when before assassination. He said that I ask you to remain steadfast in the confrontation ahead. Reaching Jerusalem is near, and the battle ahead will be the greatest battle. If I were not there with you, I would have been honored with martyrdom. Remain steadfast until the end and do not surrender to the West, for the victory is near. The point to note here is he said reaching Jerusalem is near and the battle ahead will be the greatest battle. This is the main thing. He's saying this because in Islam there is prophecy that Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, the last and the noble messenger of all, said that there will be a great battle in the end of times, the great war, or as it is called in Christianity or Judaism, the Armageddon. That will be the great, basically the clash of civilizations, the great battle, which will be catastrophic and devastating. And he's pointing towards that great battle, and he's saying that there's a prophecy, and he's hinting towards that Muslims will eventually conquer Jerusalem. He's hinting towards that, and telling the people that do not surrender to the West and be ready for that, for the victory is yours. On the other side, the Christianity says that the noble messenger, Jesus, peace be upon him, will return and the victory will be theirs. On the other hand, in Judaism, the Jews believe that their Messiah will come and the victory will be theirs and they will rule the world. Now you see that these are the live footages and of the planes. The IRGC headquarters are being hit, and the leadership is being hit. The missiles and the ammunitions is being hit by Israel and US. We can clearly see here the strategy from both sides is that to make the cost of the war in terms of finance and in terms of people and in terms of to make it so high that the other side says that wants to end the war so that the other side can be in better negotiation position. Iran is trying to make the cost high for US and Israel and overall for global powers in the world. That's why it is hitting Qatar, the gas terminals and the gas industry, and that is hitting that. And that's why the Iran has also shut down the enclosed Strait of Hormuz, from which 20% of the oil is being transported to whole of the world. And it has also hit Aramco, and that is also closed in Saudi Arabia. So basically what you see here, the pattern is that The pattern is very simple to make the cost of the war very high. And when the cost of the war becomes very high, eventually the powers and the people, the prices of petrol and oil will go up, and the it will be not good for the people of for people in the globe, and the powers will come down, and the powers will come forward to negotiate and carve out so that Iran runs out of drones, as well as they are prolonging war basically, so that Iran runs out of missiles and stockpiles of missiles, munitions, and drones, so that Israel and Iran is would be in better condition than to negotiate. And the main purpose is that they want regime change here, no nukes for Israel, no nukes for Iran, and no missile technology for Iran. Iranian, this is a breaking news from Al Jazeera that Iranian president tells Gulf countries that Iran had no other choice but to attack. Basically, he's telling that we had no other choice. They killed our supreme leader. They bombed us. They bombed the schools, the hospitals, and they were attacking from the bases which are in Gulf countries in Saudi Arabia, Iran, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Oman, and the UAE. That's why we attacked those bases, and the hotels were being targeted because the US troops were staying there because the bases were being emptied. So that's why he's saying that basically he's distinguishing between attack on the Gulf countries and the attack on the American bases in the Gulf countries. He said we didn't attack Gulf countries, but we attacked the bases in of American bases in the Gulf countries because we were being attacked from those bases. So he's clearly distinguishing between the two. US has sacrificed interests of its own nation to serve Israel, says Iran mission to UN. This is not only Iran mission to UN which is saying this. Yesterday, the CIA operative, a former CIA operative, John, also said that uh, Trump wasn't going into the war. He was a little bit confused whether to start strikes or not. But Netanyahu lied to Trump that Iran is making nukes and ballistic missiles of longer range. So we have to attack Iran basically. And but Pentagon and the CIA has had no such information that Iran was making nukes, and they had also the fatwa of Ayatollah Khamenei saying that they won't make nukes. Ayatollah, the late Ayatollah, also said that he's not a politician that one day he's saying something and the other day he'll do the opposite. He said that he's a supreme leader of Iran and a religious cleric as well, so he would stay by his words that he won't make nuclear nukes. And with Ayatollah gone, I think the new leadership will be reconsidering the fatwa of Ayatollah Ali Khamenei, and the new leadership might tilt towards getting nukes. A naval ship has been targeted. IRGC's Navy ship has been targeted by on port of Bandar Abbas has been targeted by US, and you can see here that is clearly been targeted by US, and the US has destroyed that naval ship. Professor Jiang predicts US will lose war with Iran. Okay, now losing is not basically that the US will US territory, US country is being hit. Losing is basically if significantly after what was Iran basically doing here? Iran was basically doing attacking the Gulf countries and the US bases and assets there because Iran did a gamble that these countries, after facing such damage economically, financially, and the situation will be such that these countries will be forced to leave, would ask US to leave the troops, would force the troops, US troops to leave the Gulf countries, and this would be a significant achievement if Iran gets it, and if Iran by attacking those bases, by attacking the bases in the Gulf countries, if they say that they won't allow US to use their bases and ask US to leave their bases, leave the territory, and they can't have any more bases there. That would be significant achievement. So basically, this is the loss of this would be loss of US. Spain has already said that Spain has already uh, banned the US from using their airspaces and bases, onto which Donald Trump said that he would use if he wanted, and he doesn't need Spain's permission. Basically, you can see here that this is total. There's nothing like what we see here nowadays. There is nothing like international law here, and there is basically what is called a brute power. This is Iran's Grand Ayatollah Abdullah Javadi issued a jihad fatwa declaring that shedding the blood of Trump and the Zionists is obligatory. He is issuing a jihad fatwa against Israel and US Grand Ayatollah of Iran, Ayatollah Javadi, says that issues basically a jihad fatwa and says jihad is now compulsory against the US and Israel. The comment section is open, and do please comment and do give your input as well, that why Israel is attacking, why Israel forced the US as well to attack Iran now, and why did they kill Ayatollah Ali Khamenei? Because this is not just because they didn't want Iran to get nukes or ballistic missiles. Things are way more beyond what they are looking like. There are many more reasons and behind that. This is not only like Iran, they didn't wanted Iran to have nukes and they just get up and bomb Iran. No, this is not like that. Basically, these are religious wars because one hand Iran is an Islamic country, America is a Christian country, Israel is a Jewish country. So basically all of them, they have the prophecies of the end of the time, and all of them are working towards that. This is the footage saying that the US and Israel have been deceived by Iran into hitting drawings of F-14s. This is basically, if it's true, this is hilarious that F-14 drawings have been hit. Basically, the sculptures or the drawings were there of F-14s, and Iran and made by Iranians basically, and the Israeli Air Force and US were hitting those. So basically, it's like fooling them. It's hilarious if it's true. But I don't think so it is true. But if it is, then it is hilarious. Okay, I have a question for you guys. How many of you actually think that it's just an hypothetical scenario? Or how many of you actually think that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei might be alive? And this is just a bluff by, or an eyewash by, or a strategy by Iranians and IRGC that they are saying that he has been assassinated. And we see that after the war has been ended and both the parties reach a ceasefire, and we eventually see he is coming out alive. Well, I do believe that negligible chances or very less chances of this happening, but still this is a hypothetical scenario, and it would be like very out of the box strategy by Iran if they do it like this, that there's just an eye washer that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is dead, but he comes out alive after the war has ended. It might be possible, less likely, but it might be possible. Why would Iran do that? For two reasons. Number one, they want their Ayatollah Ali Khamenei to stay alive, and to eventually, if he comes out alive, it would be very embarrassing for Israel and US. Number one. Number two, after if the people of Iran would fight more enthusiastically and with more unity, and they would have revenge in their mind, and they would be more united if they know that he has been assassinated. So that can be a strategy, but this is less likely, but might be. These are psychological warfare. No, we can't say that this is true or not true. And what about Armageddon, the Great War, which is happening, which we are heading towards? If this regional conflict turns into something bigger like World War, and which has been predicted in every religion that at the end of the time there would be Great War, and that would be devastating, and half of the world or more than half of the world will be destroyed because every country has nukes, and that has been also prophesied in religion that it will be a great war and great catastrophe. So much so that there will be so much bodies lying in that war that a bird flying who sits in a clean place wants it to sit in a clean place will be flying, and but he wouldn't find a clean place. Eventually, he would get tired and still fall on a dead body. So much dead bodies and devastation. And are we heading towards that time? This is a question. And Armageddon will be in the region of Syria, Damascus. That would be the main battlefield there. This is the Spain's PM Pedro Sanchez says women's rights must never be used as a pretext to launch wars that serve others' interest. If it really believe in the freedom of Iranian women, the answer cannot be more violence. It must be more diplomacy. Basically, what Pedro Sanchez is saying that how can this is a fundamental question that, for the sake of argument, if even Iranians agree that they don't want this Islamic regime anymore, does this allows US and Israel to change the regime, or regime change must the option of regime change should remain with the people of Iran? Can democracy be brought from outside, imported, or the people of Iran should decide for themselves? This is a big question because throughout the history, you can say that Libya was bombed because it was said that Gaddafi could not. Gaddafi was a dictator, and he opposition and the women, and it was bombed. And we see that Libya's situation is Libya is basically destroyed. It was very good. Yes, Gaddafi had issues, and there were issues there. The opposition was actually oppressed there, and there were many issues. But it was a country, and it was like many education there. The people had finances there. The people had money there. But now it's like a war zone. There are groups and they are fighting with each other. Similarly, you see Iraq. Similarly, you see Iraq with Saddam Hussein, that he's a dictator and he's killing his own people, and he had chemical weapons and weapons of mass destruction, and as America comes and bombs there. Now what is Iraq? War zone with ISIS there, and so much so there, and that is many a times more worse than what was in the Saddam's era. So how can it be possible that we have such examples before? How is it possible that in now with the same thing has been, the same experiment is now being applied, would generate different results in Iran? If Iran succeeds in regime change, US succeeds in regime change, there are that either there'll be a regime which will be more favorable, or a liberal or a secular regime which will be favorable to Israel and US, and that with the Iranian population, with the majority Iranian population as Shia Muslims, Iran wouldn't be a stable country anymore, or a total collapse with different groups and organizations running into it and running their own private militias there, and a cold war there, sort of a cold war with different countries fighting for their own interest, with supporting their own group and militias there. Similarly, like of Libya and Iraq. So basically, what he is saying, Pedro Sanchez, is that diplomacy was the key to the Iranian solution and not the firepower. Marco Rubio says that Iran is run by lunatics, religious fanatics, and lunatics. US forces reportedly destroyed Iran missiles capable of basically a naval warship has been destroyed. An Iranian naval warship has been destroyed, and you can see the video here of it being destroyed by US forces. The situation for Pakistan is also concerning, with Khaja Asif, the defense minister, said that Zionism is a threat to humanity. He said it because that if Israel succeeds in regime change in Iran, the Balochistan border of Pakistan won't be safe too. So Pakistan will be facing a three-way threat, one from India, other from Afghanistan, and then from Balochistan. So Pakistan is clearly calculating this. Iran tried to assassinate Trump. This has been pushed forward by American authorities. These claims do come up when in a warlike situation, but they should be backed by evidence. I don't know if there is evidence regarding this claim that Iran tried to assassinate Trump. At least 80 people were killed after a US submarine sank an Iranian warship in the Indian Ocean. This is Tehran Times says that the Sudani Army General says if ground forces are sent by, if America sends ground forces and Israel sends ground forces to Iran, he's swearing that he'll be supporting his brothers in Iran, and he'll be sending brigades into Iran and fight with Iran and US, with the Israel and US on behalf of Iran. This is Pedro Sanchez. He has an interesting take. He says that the war, US-Israeli war with Iran, is just, he rejects it, and the position of the Spanish government is no war. To which he didn't also allow America to use its bases. To which Trump said that we don't need permission. When we wanted to use it, we will use it. Nobody can stop us. And he also said that we can put uh, trade embargo on Spain as well. He's calculating into that as well. These are scenes coming out of Iran, that heavy bombing by Israel and US being done by US and Israel into Tehran. The Iranian women are into the streets supporting their forces fighting, and say that we hold our heads up high with, and because our leader was martyred, they are saying that he didn't hide in the bunker. He fought bravely and he died a martyr. And he didn't flee to any other country. So they are there, and these are the voices of Iranian women. You can see here that the missile is being launched. Missiles are being launched from Iran to American bases and Israel. Interesting take by German Chancellor Merz. He says that Iran shouldn't be protected by international law. Iran shouldn't be protected by international law, and German Chancellor positions basically himself as Trump's closest European ally, condemning Tehran. Tucker Carlson has been very vocal and against the Trump regime and against this war. He is saying in this video that he basically asked a question that how many Shia's terror attacks have been in the United States in his lifetime. He said it, zero. No terror attacks by Iran or no Shiite terror attacks in the United States. Basically, zero. So when there were zero terror attacks in United States, so why did they jump into war against Iran? When Iran clearly didn't do anything offensive towards America. They didn't had nukes, they didn't had ballistic missiles, long range ICBMs, they didn't do any terror attacks. This is his take, Tucker Carlson. Iran threatens to target Israeli embassies worldwide if Israel targets its Lebanon mission. This is King Reza Pahlavi. Donald Trump has an interesting take over it. He says that he's a good guy. King Reza Pahlavi is a good guy. Trump says that King Reza Pahlavi is a good guy, but he says, but he's looking for someone more favorable and more famous from within Iran to replace this current Iranian regime. So basically, he doesn't see Reza Pahlavi as a potential candidate to replace the Islamic regime of Iran. Turkey protests to Iran because a ballistic missile was fired from Iran towards Turkey, which was intercepted by Turkey. Ayatollah Javadi says that jihad issues the fatwa of jihad against Israel and US. How do you think that this would benefit Iran or not? Share your opinions in the comments. No, is this news verified or not? Because this is basically, if it is true, then this is literally hilarious that Iran pranked the US and Israel by placing painted jets at their bases instead of real aircrafts. Iran had moved its actual jets underground before the war began, and Israel and USA were bombing the paintings of the jets and not the real jets. This is literally hilarious if it's true. Let's check out if it's true or not. Grok says this claim is not true. This can be true. This claim is basically can be true. How can it be possible that the paintings were being shot at? The missiles were shot at the paintings. This can be true. Obviously, there is a hell of a difference between a painting and a real jet. The school of the Minab, in which 165 children were martyred by Israeli and US bombing. Civilians, this is heart-wrenching and heartbreaking. The children, the elderly people, the civilians, the hospitals, the schools, the rescue workers, they shouldn't be targeted. Even war should have some ethical and moral code and religious code, and international law must be followed even in wartime as well, because targeting civilians and children is or hospitals is heart-wrenching and heartbreaking and should must be condemned from both sides.